In this video, we're going to work on an expense report for an international trip. So first, navigate to your request menu and select the approved request for your trip. Then we're going to select Create Expense Report. First thing we want to do when we start an expense report for an international trip is insert what is called a travel itinerary. So you're going to select Travel Allowance, Manage Travel Allowance, and this will open the itinerary page. We're going to select Create a New Itinerary, and you're going to walk through adding the legs of your trip. In this example, I've already done that step, so you can see here below, this is an available itinerary that I can apply to this travel request. So it speaks to my destination points on the dates, flying out of the US and landing in Costa Rica, and the return trip. So these are what you're going to have to add for your travel expense report to designate which cities and countries you're in throughout your trip. So it's adding the legs that speak to your destinations. So we would select this itinerary and assign it to this expense report. Click Next. Here's where we can designate whether meals might be provided as part of the trip, depending on if it's a conference or certain other components. There might be times where, the hotel provides breakfast, or maybe the person is getting lunch at the conference during the, the days that they're there. If you check these boxes, it takes into account that certain meal costs are going to be provided during the trip. And then you're going to say Create Expense. And this will take you back to the expense report, where you'll start to layer in the additional expenses for the trip. So we've added a couple expenses here to show you what it looks like for international expenses. There's a couple different layers. So if we select this out-of-pocket expense here, this is for meals. The expense type is unique for international because it looks to the GSA rates of the country of destination. So we're going to select the expense type of international meals, and we're going to select the date and the city of purchase. The payment type will default, so you can change that as needed. And here's where this is a little bit different than domestic. If you paid for the expense in the currency of your destination, you can enter the amount here. It'll note the currency and it will convert it for you into US dollars. So ultimately your expense report is going to come out in US dollars, but there is a conversion piece related to activity for international travel. Alternatively, you could change this currency. Let's say you had used a credit card to pay for something and the conversion's already happened. You can put this amount in US dollars, change the currency to US dollars, and then you'll still see the amount in USD pull forward to your expense report. Another thing that might be unique for international is hotel, but similar that we just looked at too for this meal. So we'll add expense, hotel lodging. Again, you're going to enter the information that's pertinent for your trip dates. Here again, you can use the local currency depending on how you paid for it, or if you paid for a credit card and the conversion rates already happened for you with your bank, you can put the US dollars in here. So for purposes of this example, we'll just put international currency. It will convert it for us. We would need to attach a receipt to make this complete, but for purposes of this example, we'll just save the expense. I just want to show you that you can see that although we entered the Costa Rican currency, the amount has been translated to US dollars, and that's what's going to be requested on the expense report. So just wanted to give you an example of how that would work. Likewise, we can change this one back just so I can show you that as well. We can say US dollar, and then you can see it looks a little bit different because the amount being recorded is US dollars, where the other items are in the destination currency, but all of it gets converted to US dollars. I want to bring something to your attention. Because this looks at the GSA or the rates for that particular destination, there are times where your expenses may exceed those ceilings. So what we'll do is we'll look at this example here, and we'll say travel allowance, manage travel allowance. Select the reimbursable allowances summary, and let's take a look at the meals for that particular day. So the total allowance allowed for that particular destination for meals is $73.50 for that day. The meal cost that we've claimed for that day is $112.07, which means we have $38.57 over the amount allowed for that particular day in that particular destination. So what we'll see is that the expense will be limited to the $73.50, which matches the allowable limit. Remember, for international travel or travel to Alaska, Hawaii, and other US territories, we're limited to actual expenses up to the allowance for that particular destination. So we'll click done here. And we'll continue to add expenses to our expense report until it's complete. Those are some of the additional pieces or nuances that make domestic travel expense reports a little bit different from international.